The council chamber was enormous, its walls made of shimmering metal that reflected light like liquid silver. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy sat in silent judgment. Some were tall and graceful, their skin gleaming like polished gemstones. Others were strange, with multiple eyes or wings, each more alien than the next. Their chatter had died down, replaced by a tense, expectant quiet. At the center of the chamber, a holographic display floated in the air, showing the small blue planet of Earth. It was just a tiny dot among the stars. And yet, that little had become the subject of the galaxy's most curious question. Why does Earth produce no warriors? Boomed the voice of the Supreme Elder, a massive figure with silver scales and glowing violet eyes. We see civilizations rise and fall. Some fight, some conquer, others surrender. But humans, they remain weak. They have no military power, no history of strength, no warriors to defend them. Why? Murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens shook their heads in disbelief. Others clicked their mandibles, a sound of amusement or irritation. A few whispered among themselves, doubting that the humans could ever measure up to the rest of the galaxy. From the back of the chamber, a small figure stepped forward. The humans were seated together, looking nervous. Most had expected to be ignored, maybe laughed at, but this human cadet had a different plan. He was young, barely 20 by human standards, with short brown hair and clear, determined eyes. His uniform was simple, unlike the intricate armors and robes of the alien delegates. But he walked with confidence, as if every step on Earth had prepared him for this exact moment. The chamber fell silent as he approached the center. All eyes turned toward him, some curious, others condescending. The Supreme Elder leaned forward, a faint glow emanating from his eyes. You? A human? Do you even know what a warrior is? The human cadet lifted his chin. I do, he said firmly. His voice echoed in the massive hall, calm but strong. And I am one. A ripple of laughter spread through the chamber. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 6 arms waved dismissively. You? One human? You stand before us and claim to be a warrior? This is amusing. The cadet ignored the laughter. He looked straight at the Supreme Elder. I'm not here to amuse you. I'm here to show you that humans are stronger than you think. Some aliens shifted uncomfortably. Humans were small, fragile by their standards. Their history was filled with conflict, yes, but nothing compared to the galactic powers around them. They were a tiny planet of primitive technology, surviving mostly through diplomacy and trade. A human warrior? The idea seemed impossible. But the cadet wasn't finished. He raised his hand and gestured to a large screen that suddenly appeared above him. Holograms of humans fighting, training, and surviving flashed across it. They were clips from Earth's history. Humans facing impossible odds, enduring wars, storms, and disasters. Each image told the same story: survival, ingenuity, and courage. The chamber went silent again. No alien had expected this. Many had never seen humans in such detail. The Supreme Elder leaned closer, eyes narrowing. You claim this bravery is enough to call yourself a warrior? The cadet nodded. Strength isn't only measured in size or firepower. It's measured in will, in the ability to fight when everything is against you. Humans survive because we never give up. We adapt. We endure. We rise when others fall. That is what makes a warrior. A sharp-eyed alien with silver feathers stepped forward. And what proof do you offer that a human can fight among us in battle? Can you even lift the weapons we use? Can you survive in the void of space like we can? The cadet smiled faintly. I don't need to prove it here. I can show you. He straightened his posture. Send me to your training arena. Let me fight. Let me stand against your best. And when I win or even just survive, you will understand. Humans are warriors. The Supreme Elder's eyes glowed brighter, scanning the young human from head to toe. You are brave, perhaps foolishly so. But courage alone does not make a warrior. We shall see. The chamber's doors opened, revealing a massive training arena beyond. The sounds of clashing metal and energy weapons echoed from within. It was a place where aliens from countless worlds tested their strength, skill, and strategy. And now, a single human cadet was about to step into it. As he walked toward the arena, the cadet's heart beat steadily. He felt fear, yes, but he did not let it control him. Every step was a statement. Humans are not weak. Humans fight. Humans survive. And humans can rise to any challenge. Inside the chamber, whispers spread among the aliens. "Is this human insane?" one asked. Another shook its head. No, he might actually be dangerous. The cadet paused at the arena's threshold. He looked back once at the assembled council. "You wonder why Earth has no warriors," he said, his voice carrying through the chamber. "Now you're looking at one." The doors closed behind him, leaving the aliens staring at each other in stunned silence. The galaxy had never seen anything like this. A human had stepped forward, not asking permission, not begging for acceptance, but declaring a truth they refused to believe. And in that moment, everything changed. The training arena was unlike anything the human cadet had ever seen. It was enormous, stretching hundreds of meters in every direction. The walls were made of an alien alloy that shimmered like liquid metal, and the floor glowed with faint energy lines. Holographic targets and obstacles floated in the air, shifting and spinning, ready to challenge anyone who stepped inside. The cadet's heart raced. Every muscle in his body tightened with anticipation. Around him, beings from countless worlds prepared for battle. Some wielded weapons that looked like living creatures. Others held energy blades that pulsed with raw power. A few levitated, using strange technology to hover above the floor. He felt small. Humans were small, but he refused to let that thought scare him. Instead, he focused on what made humans different. Humans did not give up. Humans adapted. Humans fought even when the odds were impossible. "Step forward, human," a booming voice called. It was the arena's overseer, a towering alien with 6 glowing eyes. "Show us what you are made of. Survive this, and you may earn your place among warriors." The cadet nodded, gripping the small, human-designed weapon he carried. It was simple compared to the alien armaments, but he knew how to use it. Humans relied on intelligence, strategy, and unpredictability, tools more powerful than brute force. As soon as the overseer finished speaking, the arena changed. Walls shifted, rising like mountains. Holographic enemies appeared. Aliens of every shape and size, moving with speed and precision. Energy blasts zipped through the air. The cadet's first thought was to run, but he did not. He stood tall, scanning the environment, analyzing every movement. A silver-winged alien charged at him, wings slicing the air. The cadet dodged just in time, rolling across the glowing floor. He felt the wind of the attack brush past his face, a warning of what was to come. Without hesitation, he aimed his weapon and fired, not a random shot, but a precise, calculated strike. The alien faltered, taken by surprise. Around him, other trainees attacked. Multi-armed creatures swung heavy hammers, while floating aliens hurled energy spheres. Most humans would have panicked, but the cadet remained calm. He used his speed, his agility, and his awareness of the surroundings. Every movement was deliberate, every decision based on observation and instinct. "Impressive," one alien whispered to another, watching from the stands. "The human, he moves differently. He doesn't fight like us. He fights like survival itself." Minutes passed, but for the cadet, it felt like hours. He dodged, parried, and countered, using the alien strength against them. A being with 4 arms swung a massive axe, but the cadet ducked under it, grabbed the alien's wrist, and twisted just enough to make the attacker stumble. Another alien fired energy bolts, but he rolled behind a glowing barrier, conserving his energy and striking when the moment was right. The crowd grew silent. The small human was holding his own against some of the galaxy's strongest warriors. His size and lack of advanced weaponry seemed irrelevant. What mattered was his courage, his creativity, and his relentless will to survive. A group of aliens formed a coordinated attack, surrounding him from all sides. Most would panic, but the cadet stayed calm. He scanned the arena, noting the shifting barriers and floating platforms. Using a sudden burst of speed, he vaulted onto a high platform, avoiding the direct assault. From above, he could see the battlefield clearly, spotting weak points in the attacker's formation. Then he acted. Using a combination of quick strikes and calculated maneuvers, he forced the surrounding aliens to scatter. One by one, he disabled their attacks without killing them. Humans valued strategy over unnecessary destruction. His opponents were confused, frustrated. How could such a small, simple human outmaneuver beings far stronger and more experienced? The Overseer watched, eyes wide with astonishment. He survives. He adapts in ways no human should be able to. Incredible. The cadet's breathing was steady. Sweat glistened on his forehead, but he did not falter. The arena continued to shift, throwing new challenges at him. Fluctuating gravity, energy fields that pushed and pulled, holographic beasts appearing from every corner. And yet he pressed on, moving with precision, thinking faster than any alien could predict. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the arena stopped changing. Silence fell. The cadet stood in the center, surrounded by exhausted aliens who stared at him in disbelief. He was bruised and tired, but he had survived. Not just survived, he had dominated in a way that left no doubt. The Supreme Elder's voice echoed through the chamber. This human, he may be small, but he possesses the spirit of a true warrior. He has survived trials that would have crushed even the strongest alien cadets. Perhaps we were wrong about Earth. The cadet looked up at the council. He did not boast. He simply raised his chin and said, calmly but firmly, "You wanted to see a warrior. Now you are looking at one." Whispers spread through the council chamber. For the first time, many aliens truly looked at humans, not as weak, fragile creatures, but as beings capable of courage, strategy, and unimaginable strength. And in that moment, a quiet truth settled over the galaxy. Humans were not just survivors. Humans were warriors. The arena's doors opened again, and the human cadet stepped out, his body still tired from the previous trials. But he carried himself with a quiet confidence. The aliens who had watched him before now regarded him differently, not as a curiosity, but as a serious contender. Whispers spread across the chamber like wildfire. "He survived alone against our strongest," said one silver-feathered alien. Another clicked her mandibles in disbelief. How? How can a human endure so much? The Supreme Elder, seated high above the chamber, remained silent. Its glowing eyes observed the cadet with renewed interest. For centuries, the council had considered humans weak, insignificant, but that notion was crumbling before their eyes. The cadet didn't wait for anyone to speak. He approached the arena's overseer, who now wore a rare expression, one of respect mixed with caution. "You did well," the overseer said, his 6 eyes scanning the human. "But surviving the arena is only the beginning. Strength is not enough. A true warrior earns respect, earns trust, and learns to fight alongside others." The cadet nodded. He knew the next challenge would not just test his physical skill, but his mind and character. The arena transformed once more, shifting into a massive labyrinth. Walls rose high, twisting and turning, hiding obstacles, traps, and enemies. Several alien cadets appeared inside, ready to challenge him, not just a fight, but to test his ability to work with allies. The first to approach was a tall, armored alien named Orcs. His voice was deep and commanding. "Human, you may have survived alone, but teamwork is the key to survival. Can you fight with others? Can you lead?" The cadet didn't hesitate. "I can," he said simply. "Show me the way." Immediately, chaos erupted. Holographic traps sprang from the floor. Walls shifted without warning, and enemies attacked from all sides. The cadet moved quickly, observing the battlefield and communicating with his temporary allies. He gave short, clear commands, pointing out dangers, suggesting strategies, and coordinating attacks. At first, some aliens ignored him. They had laughed at humans before. They had assumed he could not keep up. But as the labyrinth's dangers multiplied, they began to notice his instincts. He spotted hidden traps before they triggered. He anticipated enemy attacks. He positioned his allies strategically, turning the tide in their favor. One particularly dangerous creature, a multi-limbed predator, leapt from above toward an alien cadet. The human reacted instantly, intercepting the creature with a precise strike and saving his comrade. The alien stumbled but caught himself, glaring at the human with new respect. By the middle of the trial, the cadet was coordinating a small group of aliens. Despite their differences, despite the fact that most had assumed humans were weak, they began to follow his lead. He communicated not with arrogance, but with clarity, confidence, and calmness, even in the face of danger. Humans fight differently, the Rix whispered to another cadet. They do not rely on brute strength alone. They see the battlefield as a whole. They plan, adapt, and survive. It is remarkable. The final challenge in the labyrinth appeared as a massive chasm filled with shifting energy currents. On the other side was a lever that could open the next section of the arena. Many cadets froze, unsure how to cross. The human cadet assessed the situation. There was no safe path. Most beings with his size and training would have hesitated, but he did not. He directed his team, calculating the timing of the energy currents and leading them across one by one. He used small, deliberate movements, guiding his allies and ensuring that no one was left behind. Finally, he reached the lever and pulled it. A bridge of glowing energy formed, allowing the rest of the team to cross safely. The chamber echoed with a mix of astonishment and applause. Not only had the human survived the labyrinth, but he had proven himself capable of leadership, strategy, and teamwork, skills that many aliens valued even more than raw strength. The Supreme Elder's voice resonated through the chamber. This human, he does not fight like us, and yet he excels in ways we never expected. He has earned more than survival. He has earned respect. The cadet stepped forward, exhausted but proud. He looked around at the aliens who had once doubted him. Some nodded in acknowledgement. Others remained skeptical, but even they could not deny his skill and courage. You see, the cadet said quietly, humans are not just survivors. We fight, we adapt, and we rise when others fall. That is what makes a warrior. The council murmured among themselves, astonished. For the first time in history, a human had not only survived a galactic trial, but had also led and inspired aliens to trust and follow him. As the cadet exited the labyrinth, he felt a quiet satisfaction. He had proven his worth, but he also knew the journey was far from over. The galaxy would continue to challenge him. Stronger opponents, harder trials, and unimaginable dangers awaited. But he was ready. Humans had always thrived against impossible odds. And now, among the stars, a single human cadet was proving that Earth could produce warriors unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. And somewhere deep in the council chamber, a thought began to take hold. Perhaps humans were not just another species. Perhaps they were something far more dangerous and far more extraordinary than anyone had imagined. The human cadet had become the talk of the council. Rumors of his survival and leadership spread faster than a meteor streaking across the stars. Every alien delegation whispered about the small human who dared to challenge the galaxy's strongest warriors and survived. But admiration brought scrutiny. Many cadets and council members were curious, some suspicious, and a few openly hostile. Not everyone believed a human could truly belong among warriors. Some even plotted to test him further, to see if his feats were luck or genuine skill. The Supreme Elder called the cadet forward. You have proven strength, adaptability, and leadership, it said, its glowing eyes fixed on him. But the galaxy tests its elite not for survival alone, but for mastery. You will now face the trial of the elite, our most dangerous, cunning cadets. Only the truly extraordinary survived this challenge. The cadet's heart skipped. He had faced the arena and the labyrinth, but this was different. He would face warriors who had trained for centuries, who had mastered techniques humans had never even imagined. They were faster, stronger, and more experienced, but he had something no one expected: the human mind. The arena shifted into a massive coliseum, floating in orbit above a gas giant. The floor was a grid of shifting platforms, suspended over a bottomless void. Energy barriers moved unpredictably, while glowing orbs of light shot across the space. Above, the alien elite cadets appeared on hovering platforms, armed with weapons that seemed to hum with power. The cadet took a deep breath and stepped forward. He carried nothing more than a standard human weapon and his wits, knowing that strategy would outweigh strength in this trial. The first opponent was a live alien with 4 legs and razor-sharp claws. It leapt at him with incredible speed, faster than any human reflex could match. Yet the cadet was ready. He dodged at the last possible second, letting the alien's momentum carry it past him, using the creature's overextension against it. He struck a precise blow to disable its attack. Other cadets joined, each with their own specialty. One fired concentrated energy blasts, another created illusions to confuse him, and a third manipulated gravity to throw him off balance. Most humans would have panicked, but the cadet observed and adapted. He watched patterns, learned timing, and struck when opportunities appeared. "You see," he muttered under his breath, "humans fight differently. We think. We improvise. We survive." A rival cadet, a towering figure with silver-scaled arms, charged with blinding speed. The cadet sidestepped, then used a small grappling tool to latch onto the alien's weapon, redirecting it with precision. The elite cadet stumbled, shocked by the human's ingenuity. Around him, other elite cadets paused, reassessing their underestimated opponent. The crowd above gasped. Humans were supposed to be weak, but here was one outsmarting trained warriors, turning their strength against them. Whispers spread quickly. "The human, he is clever beyond measure." The trial escalated. Platforms shifted violently, forcing the cadet to jump, dodge, and sprint in ways no human should endure. Energy blasts collided around him. Opponents worked together, creating traps and ambushes designed to overwhelm him. Yet he adapted. He leapt onto higher platforms to gain perspective, then used timing and strategy to split the cadet's attacks. During a brief pause, he realized the key wasn't to overpower them. It was to anticipate and manipulate. He caused two cadets to collide midair, stunned another with a simple feint, and used the environment to his advantage. One by one, the elite cadets began to fall into his carefully planned maneuvers, not by brute force, but by intelligence and creativity. Even the Supreme Elder leaned forward, fascinated. "Remarkable," it murmured. "No human has ever shown such skill, such control, such mastery over chaos." Finally, only 3 cadets remained. They were the fastest, strongest, and most cunning in the elite ranks. They formed a triangle around the cadet, weapons raised. Most beings would have panicked. Most humans would have fallen. But he remained calm, eyes scanning, mind calculating. He spotted the patterns in their movement, the slight delay in the cadet on the left, the overconfidence of the one on the right. Using a sudden burst of speed, he moved diagonally, dodging their attacks and forcing them into each other. The final cadet, the leader of the elite, lunged at him with full force, but the cadet anticipated the strike, pivoted, and used a simple leverage maneuver to unbalance the alien, sending him sprawling. Silence fell over the Colosseum. The human cadet stood alone, surrounded by defeated elites. His chest heaved, but his gaze was steady. The Supreme Elder's voice filled the arena. "Enough. The trial of the elite has ended. No human has ever survived, let alone excelled. Today, one has shown the galaxy what Earth can produce. Humans are warriors." The cadet lowered his weapon, not in arrogance, but with quiet pride. Around him, aliens murmured, some in awe, some in disbelief, all acknowledging a truth they had once denied. He had faced the galaxy's best and survived, not because of strength, but because of courage, intelligence, and the human spirit. And in that moment, the galaxy began to see humans differently. They were no longer fragile or weak. They were unpredictable, clever, and formidable. The cadet smiled faintly. He knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had many more challenges, many more tests, and he would face them all. After all, humans never back down, and humans never give up. And somewhere in the shadows, rival factions whispered their fears. If one human could do this, what would happen when the rest of Earth stood together? The galaxy had taken notice. News of the human cadets' victories in the arena and the trial of the elite spread like wildfire. Alien civilizations whispered in secret councils, debating the implications. For centuries, humans have been considered weak, primitive, insignificant. But one small human had shattered that illusion. Not all reactions were positive. Some factions feared the rise of humanity. "If one human can surpass our elites," hissed a counselor from the Orion sector, "what happens when they unite? They could dominate planets, disrupt alliances, perhaps even threaten the council itself. Meanwhile, the cadet returned to the council chamber, exhausted but alert. The Supreme Elder greeted him with a rare nod of approval. "You have exceeded expectations," it said. "But the galaxy does not test only strength. It tests wisdom, strategy, and the ability to survive in the shadows." The cadet's brow furrowed. "Shadows?" he asked. "Yes," the Elder replied. "There are those who fear humans. Some may attempt sabotage, betrayal, or worse. To become a true warrior, you must navigate not only open combat, but hidden threats as well." The cadet's first warning came sooner than expected. While preparing for the next trial, he noticed strange patterns in his training schedules. Supplies went missing. Holographic simulations were altered. One of his assigned allies, a cadet from a Vexor system, subtly attempted to mislead him during a mock exercise. The human remained calm. Unlike many aliens, humans relied not only on raw power but on observation, deduction, and intuition. He noticed the discrepancies, pieced together the inconsistencies, and set a simple trap. During the next exercise, the cadet intentionally led the Vexor ally into a controlled simulation that exposed a sabotage. The alien's attempts to cheat were revealed to the supervising officials, earning him both punishment and warning. The council murmured in astonishment. "No human has ever shown such awareness," said one delegate. "He does not merely fight. He observes, adapts, and survives threats we cannot even see." But the cadet knew this was just the beginning. The conspiracy went deeper. He began noticing coded messages, secret meetings, and subtle alliances forming among those who fear humans. The galaxy's elite, powerful, and cunning were testing him, not in the open, but behind the scenes. Rather than confront them recklessly, the cadet devised a strategy. He quietly gathered trustworthy allies, those who had fought beside him in the labyrinth and the elite trials. He shared knowledge, trained in secret, and prepared for the inevitable attempt to undermine him. Humans relied on trust, careful planning, and timing, tools his alien opponents often underestimated. Then came the first attack. One night, while returning from the council chamber, the cadet found the corridor blocked by a group of rogue cadets. Their weapons glowed menacingly, their intent clear. They wanted him eliminated, or at least humiliated. The human assessed the situation. He could fight head-on, but the odds were against him. Instead, he used the environment, setting off emergency shutters to divide the attackers. Using quick, precise maneuvers, he incapacitated them one by one, not with brute strength, but with calculated strikes. By the time the council security arrived, the cadet stood unscathed, the attackers subdued. The whispers in the chamber grew louder. A human, he does not simply survive. He anticipates, adapts, and overcomes even hidden threats. Word reached the Supreme Elder. "You are proving more than strength," it said. "You are proving wisdom, courage, and the ability to endure the galaxy's shadows. This is rare, extraordinary. You are becoming a symbol, not just of humanity, but of hope, courage, and unexpected power." The cadet did not seek glory. He simply trained harder, analyzed every situation, and remained vigilant. He knew the conspiracies would continue. The galaxy's elite, threatened by the rise of a single human, would escalate their efforts. And perhaps one day, entire worlds would test him, not for sport, but for survival. Still, the cadet smiled faintly, even in the face of danger. Humans thrived against impossible odds. Humans adapted, learned, and endured. And humans, above all, never gave up. The council watched in quiet astonishment. A single human, small in stature and carrying only his wits, had disrupted centuries of complacency. He had faced elite cadets, survived traps, and exposed conspiracies, all while earning respect and inspiring allies. And somewhere in the shadows, those who plotted against him began to reconsider. Perhaps humans were not merely another species to dismiss. Perhaps they were something far more dangerous and far more extraordinary than anyone had imagined. The human cadet knew the galaxy would continue to challenge him. There would be more trials, more enemies, and threats that even the bravest alien warriors might fear. But he was ready. For the first time, the galaxy began to see a new truth. Earth does produce warriors. Humans are not weak. Humans are not defenseless. Humans survive, adapt, and rise, no matter the odds. And this was only the beginning. The galaxy was no longer just watching the human cadet. It was beginning to fear him. News of his victories, leadership, and ability to survive both open combat and secret conspiracies had spread across star systems. Reports of his cunning and bravery had reached distant worlds, some of which had never even interacted with humans. But not all the attention was admiration. A distant alien empire, the Vork Dominion, saw humanity as a potential threat. The Vork were a warlike species, ruthless and cunning, controlling vast fleets of starships and planets. They decided it was time to test this human cadet, to see if he could survive against a force that dwarfed any arena or council trial. The Supreme Elder summoned Cadet. "Your next challenge," it said, its voice calm but grave, "is no longer an arena trial. It is a battle for survival. The Vork Dominion will move against us. Entire worlds may fall. You must lead a team, protect the innocent, and demonstrate the full potential of humanity. This is the ultimate test." The cadet nodded. He understood immediately. This was no longer a controlled environment. It was real. Lives would depend on his decisions, and failure was not an option. He gathered a team of trustworthy allies, aliens who had fought beside him in elite trials, those who had learned to respect his tactics and judgment. Together, they boarded a starship designed for speed and adaptability, far smaller than the Vork dreadnoughts, but flexible and efficient, much like humans themselves. The first encounter came sooner than expected. Sensors picked up a Vork fleet approaching a populated system. The cadet studied the readings carefully. The enemy was far larger and more heavily armed. Most commanders would have retreated, but retreat would mean sacrificing innocent lives. "We can't fight them head-on," he said calmly. "But we don't have to. Humans don't always confront strength with strength. We use strategy, creativity, and timing." He ordered his fleet to split into small, fast units, striking the Vork at their weak points, using asteroids, gravitational fields, and nebulae for cover. The alien allies followed his instructions, coordinating with a precision they had never shown before. The Vork attacked with overwhelming force, firing energy weapons that could obliterate planets. But the cadet's strategy allowed his team to survive while inflicting critical damage. He anticipated their movements, adapted to their tactics, and outsmarted opponents who had never faced humans before. At one point, a massive Vork ship attempted to trap them in a gravitational snare. Most would have panicked, but the cadet calculated the exact moment to use their ship's engines, escaping the trap and sending the enemy vessel careening into a nearby asteroid field. The battle continued for hours. The cadet's team grew exhausted, but his calm presence inspired them to continue. He coordinated attacks, gave precise commands, and encouraged his allies. Every alien warrior following him began to see what humans were truly capable of, not just strength, but resilience, intelligence, and adaptability. Then came the final confrontation. The Vork flagship, massive and heavily armed, descended on a civilian planet, ready to destroy it. The cadet knew a direct assault was suicide. Instead, he devised a daring plan. Using feints, decoys, and small strikes, he lured the flagship into a narrow asteroid field. The ship's size made it difficult to maneuver, and every move it made could be predicted. "Trust me," the cadet said to his allies. "We strike together and we win." At the precise moment, he coordinated a strike on the ship's engines, disabling its movement. Using grappling hooks and energy pulses, the cadet's team boarded the vessel, confronting the Vork leaders. Despite being heavily outnumbered, they fought with ingenuity, exploiting weaknesses the Vork had never imagined. Hours later, the flagship was neutralized, its weapons disabled, and the planet saved. The cadets' tactics had succeeded, not by brute force, but through careful planning, quick thinking, and human ingenuity. The Supreme Elder observed from the council chamber, all evident in its glowing eyes. Humans are not only warriors. They are masters of survival strategy and courage. One human has altered the course of this galaxy's history. The cadet stepped down from the ship, looking at the alien allies who had once doubted him. They now bowed or nodded in respect. Humans were no longer seen as weak, fragile, or insignificant. They were warriors, leaders, and innovators, capable of facing impossible odds and emerging victorious. As the galaxy slowly began to accept the human threat as real, whispers spread among distant systems. If one human can do this, imagine what Earth could produce. The cadet allowed himself a brief smile. He had survived arenas, conspiracies, elite trials, and now a galaxy-wide threat. And he knew one truth above all. Humans never give up. Humans adapt. Humans endure. And the galaxy, for the first time in its long history, was beginning to respect, and perhaps fear, the human race. The galaxy had changed. Once, humans were considered weak, insignificant, a species barely worth noting. Now, after trials, arenas, conspiracies, and even battles against a galactic empire, one human cadet had proven that Earth could produce warriors unlike any other. But the cadet knew the journey was not over. With the Vork threat temporarily neutralized, whispers of new challenges began to ripple through the Council. Some civilizations were eager to ally with humans. Others plotted to eliminate them before their strength grew. The cadet understood this. True warriors must always be ready for the next challenge. The Supreme Elder summoned him once more. Its eyes glowed brighter than ever, reflecting the energy of 1,000 stars. You have survived what no human or alien has ever endured. You have faced our elite, navigated conspiracies, and defeated a galactic fleet. Tell me, cadet, do you now understand what it means to be a warrior? The cadet straightened, his chest rising with quiet pride. I do, he said firmly. Being a warrior is not just strength. It is courage. It is strategy. It is protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Humans fight, adapt, and endure, and we rise no matter the odds. A murmur swept across the chamber. Aliens who had once mocked humans now nodded in respect. Even the Supreme Elder seemed humbled. You speak the truth, it said. Your actions have forever changed how the galaxy sees Earth. Humans are not weak. Humans are not defenseless. Humans are warriors. The cadet's eyes scanned the council chamber. He saw allies who had fought beside him, aliens who had doubted him but now respected his skill, and enemies who had tried to test him but failed. Every glance reminded him that the galaxy was unpredictable, but humans had the strength to survive in ways no one could imagine. Suddenly, a holographic alert flashed above the council chamber. A distant fleet was moving at high speed toward a neutral star system. The cadet's heart quickened, but fear did not grip him. He had faced far worse. He analyzed the readings quickly. The fleet belonged to a faction planning to exploit weaker civilizations. Innocent lives were at risk. Without hesitation, the cadet took command. We move immediately, he ordered. His trusted alien allies nodded and mobilized. Together, they boarded ships, coordinating strategy and timing. The cadet's mind worked faster than any algorithm, predicting enemy movements, planning ambushes, and preparing defenses. The battle was fierce. Ships fired energy beams that lit up the void like lightning, and explosions echoed across the stars. The cadet's team was outnumbered, but not outsmarted. Using unconventional tactics, hiding in asteroid fields, striking from blind spots, and exploiting enemy miscalculations, they turned the tide. At the climax, the cadet personally boarded the enemy flagship, facing the enemy commander. The alien was strong, skilled, and ruthless, but he underestimated the human mind. The cadet dodged every strike, countered with precision, and used the environment to his advantage. One final maneuver disabled the ship's core systems, leaving it stranded and forcing surrender. The battle ended. The innocent star system was saved. The galaxy had witnessed the human cadet's ultimate proof. Not only could humans survive, lead, and strategize, they could protect, inspire, and triumph against impossible odds. Back in the council chamber, the Supreme Elder addressed the galaxy. Let all civilizations hear this. Earth is no longer a planet to ignore. Humans have shown courage, skill, and intelligence beyond expectation. They are warriors, and they belong among the strongest of our galaxy. The cadet stepped forward one last time. He did not boast. He did not demand praise. He simply raised his voice so every being could hear. You doubted Earth. You thought we were weak. But humans fight. We survive. We adapt. And when the odds are against us, we rise. You wanted to see a warrior. Now you're looking at one. And this is only the beginning. Silence followed, then a wave of astonished murmurs. Across the council and beyond, beings of countless species recognized the truth. Humans were not just survivors of a small blue planet. They were warriors, leaders, and a force the galaxy could no longer ignore. The cadet looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth, of all the humans who had survived, adapted, and endured long before him. He realized that his victories were not just his own. They were a testament to the potential of all humans. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, distant civilizations began to reconsider. If one human could do all this, imagine what Earth could produce when the rest of humanity stood together. The Supreme Elder's voice echoed once more, quieter this time, almost to itself. The galaxy has changed forever. Humans are warriors, and they will not be forgotten. The cadet smiled faintly, his heart steady. He knew challenges would come again. Threats would rise, and the galaxy would continue to test him and his species. But he also knew the truth that would guide humans through every trial. Humans fight. Humans survive. Humans endure. And humans always rise.